All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're tackling one of the sharpest, wittiest poems ever written in English, Alexander Pope's The Rape of the Lock. Now, this thing is an absolute masterpiece of satire. It's this incredible takedown of 18th century high society. But here's the kicker. It's all dressed up like some grand, heroic epic.
So, let me ask you this. Could a haircut, literally just a haircut, start a war? I mean, really think about it. The snipping of one little curl of hair, could that actually lead to an all-out battle? Well, in the world Alexander Pope creates, the answer is a big, loud, and pretty hilarious yes. And Pope lays his cards on the table right from the get-go. This quote, "What mighty contests rise from trivial things," basically gives the whole game away. He's telling us, look, I'm about to talk about something incredibly silly and small, but I'm going to treat it like it's the Trojan War. And that, right there, that's the key to his satirical genius. So a war over hair, where does that even come from? You might think he just made it up, but nope, this wasn't just some random idea pulled out of thin air. Pope was actually inspired by a real-life and, believe me, very petty scandal among the upper crust. Yep, you heard that right. The year is 1712. A real guy, a lord no less, goes and snips a lock of hair from a beautiful young lady. And this one little act kicks off a huge feud between their two very prominent, very wealthy families. It got so bad that a friend of Pope's actually came to him and said, "Hey, can you write something funny to make these guys chill out and see how ridiculous they're being?" And Pope, well, he did a lot more than just write a lighthearted poem. He basically forged a literary weapon. He took this silly little incident and turned it into a razor-sharp critique of his entire society. And what was this weapon? It's called the mock heroic epic. The name kind of says it all, right? The whole idea is to create this massive, hilarious mismatch. You take the grand, booming, super serious style of an epic poem, with gods and heroes and huge battles, and you use it to describe something totally mundane, something like a stolen piece of hair. All the humor and all the biting commentary comes from that absurd clash. And this just shows you how brilliant that is. Think about a classic heroic epic. Something like the Iliad. That's all about huge stakes, the fate of entire nations, the intervention of gods. It is deadly serious. But a mock heroic epic? The stakes are, well, their social status. It's all about who's in, who's out. The tone is just dripping with irony, because by using that grand style, Pope is basically holding up a giant magnifying glass to show how incredibly foolish everyone is being. Okay, so Pope's got his weapon ready. Who's he aiming at? Well, his targets were basically the biggest pillars of 18th century high society.
And he wasn't pulling any punches. He was going after everything. The complete obsession with vanity and looks, the way they treated silly social rituals like they were life or death, the weird gender dynamics and how women were basically treated like pretty objects, and maybe most importantly, this feeling of moral emptiness right at the heart of it all.
So how does he do it? Let's take vanity. This is great. He describes our main character, Belinda, getting ready in the morning. But it's not just, putting on makeup. No. He describes it like a religious ceremony. Her dressing table is an altar. The makeup, the jewelry, the little beauty patches, those are all sacred rites. It's absolutely brilliant.
And this line, wow, this might be one of the sharpest digs in the whole poem. A sparkling cross, not as a symbol of faith, but as a fashion accessory, something that makes people, even non-believers, adore her. He's showing how, in this world, even the most sacred things have been twisted into just another tool to get attention and climb the social ladder. Okay, next up, how he makes fun of their silly social rituals. The best example of this is a card game called Ombre. Now, Pope doesn't just tell us they're playing cards. Oh no, he describes the entire game as if it's an epic battle. The playing cards are armies, the table is the battlefield. It's intense. I mean, just listen to the language here. The knave of diamonds tries his wily arts. Oh, shameful chance. He's using the kind of over-the-top, dramatic language that you'd expect to see describing the death of a hero in some ancient epic, but for a card game. It's his way of mocking just how worked up these people got over something so completely trivial. Right. And what's an epic without some gods or goddesses interfering? Well, Pope's got that covered too. But instead of, Zeus or Athena, we get sylphs. These are these tiny little spirits, the light militia of the lower sky. And what's their grand cosmic purpose? To make sure a lady's makeup doesn't smudge and her hair stays perfect. It's the perfect parody, right? The divine powers in this universe care only about the most superficial stuff imaginable. So inside this world of pure vanity, Pope gives us two really important female characters, and they couldn't be more different. We have Belinda, the beautiful heroine, and then we have Clarissa, the voice of reason.
And the difference between them is just night and day. Belinda is our star. She is completely wrapped up in her looks, her social status. She's basically the poster child for her society. Clarissa, though, she's the one who shows up and says, hey, maybe there's more to life than this. She's all about good sense and what's on the inside, not just what's on the outside.
And Clarissa gets to deliver what is really the moral of the whole story. She says, "How vain are all these glories, unless good sense preserve what beauty gains." She's essentially asking, what is the point of being beautiful if you don't have good sense to back it up? Because beauty fades, right? But character, that's what lasts. This is Pope's big message right here.
So, what happens after Clarissa gives this amazing, perfectly reasonable speech? You'd think they'd listen, right? Nope, they completely ignore her. They go right back to the screaming and the drama, and that's Pope's final brutal point. This world would much rather have the spectacle, the outrage, than a quiet moment of reason.
So, that brings us to the big question. Why on earth are we still talking about a 300-year-old poem about a haircut? Well, it's because Pope's satire is just timeless. It's like he's holding up a mirror, not just to his society, but directly to ours.
I mean, really think about it for a second. A culture completely obsessed with image, a world where tiny, meaningless events get blown up into huge dramas, where people's entire identities are built around how they look online. Does any of that sound familiar? Pope's takedown of 18th century vanity feels like it could have been written yesterday about social media.
And that really leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? Pope took a trivial thing, a lock of hair, and used it to expose the deep flaws of a whole society. So it makes you wonder, what are the trivial things in our world? You know, the online arguments, the fleeting trends, the viral challenges. What do those little things say about us? If we really look closely, what deep truths might they be revealing?